Hey guys, here is a fanfic idea inspired by Mr. Multiverse. It's a Godzilla fanfic idea called Godzilla Summer of Titans. Basically, it's not your typical Godzilla ID storyline. It's more like coming of age story meets Godzilla, or Godzilla's the backdrop. Basically, what it says around is summertime is coming, and this is a really bad thing that, or at least something that people have to keep an eye out for because this is a point of year when kaiju attacks are more prevalent. The kaiju attacking are more aggressive, and no one knows why. In fact, it's become so much of a part of life that they don't even question it anymore. It's kind of like tornado season or um, hurricane season. That they just happen, and this was established the idea that the kaiju are these forces of nature, and it kind of fits into that whole idea that the kaiju, they are elemental, and basically centers around this college girl named Yumi who goes out with her friends. They're told to be careful because, it's that time of year when kaiju attacks are at an all-time high. So they gotta be careful. Um, it centers around her and her friends, and there are kaiju that make appearances, but the main kaiju that get a focus are, of course, you gotta have Godzilla, King Ghidorah, Mothra, Mecha Godzilla, and I want to throw in Varan because Varan needs love. Let's be honest here, people. Varan needs a lot more love. Alright, well, there are other kaiju, but they like cameos like Rodan, Anguirus, Gorosaurus, Titanosaurus, Manda, Destroya, um, Megaguirus, Megalon, Kamacuras, Kumanga, Ebera. Those guys just get cameos. They're in a newsreel like, today Los Angeles killed under attack by Megaguirus, or excuse me, sorry, it's burp. Sorry, um, or Anguirus attacks Cambodia, or I'm making really disgusting noises. I'm so sorry. Megalon attacks Siberia, that kind of stuff. And, well, we just see it from the point of view of Yumi, who goes out to hang out with her friends at at a summer resort, which unfortunately during at night at a storm, it falls under attack by Varen, and one of her friends is not only killed, but she gets to watch as his dead body gets eaten. Yeah, I wanted to make sure that this is a much more of a lighter-hearted Godzilla story. It doesn't pull the punches when it comes to the kaiju stuff. I want to make sure these things were just as dangerous and just as destructive as you'd expect them to be. Godzilla, Godzilla's more like the monster in the shadows. You don't see him a lot, but you feel his presence. Like each time he shows up, you like to see a little bit of him. You see his silhouette, you see a tail, you see his eyes glowing in the distance. You see his claws for a second. You see his foot. You see him firing off his atomic breath. And each and every time he shows up, you see a little bit more of him. Like you see his dorsal fins that front a little bit. You see his silhouette underwater. Um, you see him roaring in the distance. You see his silhouette illuminated by artillery shells. It isn't until the end you finally see him in full view, and it's during a final battle between King Ghidorah, Mechagodzilla, and Mothra. Godzilla just shows up, and Yumi and her new boyfriend are in the center of this, and Basically, they're just in the middle of a crossfire. Anyway, I want to have it mainly be about Yumi because, well, a lot of the Godzilla films really focus on scientists. They focus around military people. I just want to center Godzilla sort of centers around civilians who are just in the middle of a world where giant monsters are just a thing. They don't know where they came from. They don't know why they do this. I'll get to that in a little bit. They don't know where they come from. They just exist, and humanity just has to deal with it. Except humans being stubborn pieces, being stubborn bastards that we are, they just keep firing at them and making things worse. And we're just in the center of this college student who just wants to live life to their fullest before she lives to old age or she dies prematurely from getting stomped on. The summer thing, I want to just keep in the air. We don't understand why these monsters are attacking during the summer. They just are, and it's just left in the air. It's just the main mystery. The people don't even. It's been around. They've done this so many times that it's just a part of life. They don't know what to do about it. They don't know why they do it. They just like, okay, so summertime, kaiju attacks are all time high. Just stay aware, people. It's the kaiju are treated like like I said, they're elemental forces of nature. They just have the forces of nature that are physical. You can shoot at them. Doesn't mean it hurts them. And in fact, just pisses them off most of the time. And the only monster that's really on our side is a giant butterfly goddess. And even then, I don't think she thinks she can really hold her own against Godzilla. And speaking of which, you have Godzilla, who is basically a mixture of a typhoon, an earthquake, a tsunami, and a nuclear fallout zone, all rolled into a dinosaur. So there's that. I wanted there to be, even though this is a coming of age story, there are real stakes here, or at least there are consequences to this. There are when people die, you feel their deaths. Like the death of her friend, it really takes a toll on her, and that it isn't something that you would want to just brush off. Because one, that would make you a sociopath, and doesn't really seem realistic. And two, if I had a friend who died in front of me and they're getting eaten by Rocky the Flying Lizard, I would be pretty upset too. Anyway, there isn't a lot of monster. There wouldn't be a lot of monster action in this. You get fight between Godzilla and Varan. You get Godzilla fighting the military, and you have the final battle, which is basically just the big climax. For the most part, it's just coming of age story for Yumi and her friends, but mostly Yumi. It's the best way to describe this is a Mamoru Hosoda Godzilla film. Main features around the emotional, socio stuff, while also having a few action scenes sprinkled here and there. Well, either Mamoru Hosoda or I forget the director's name, but he did Lou Over the Wall and Devilman Crybaby. That guy. I forget his name. Sorry. If anyone knows who his name is, just type it in the comments. Anyway, I can say a lot, am I? It's not your typical Godzilla story. It's actually a bit more mellow in terms of the human characters. It's just you don't see a lot of just humans going out their regular lives. Well, living in the age of monsters. The closest we probably got to that was in Godzilla Raids Again. But this one is the main focus. It's just these regular people going out their regular lives in the midst of the worst time of a kite, the worst time possible. Anyway, what do you think of my fanfic idea? Like, hate, what would you do with this? Just and this is Ian Green signing off.